Today is Saturday. It's April 8th at about 3 o'clock. Can you see me now? Guess what we're going to talk about? Well, here's some news that I was not aware of. Apparently, this gesture is okay by some and not by others. Now, I think it came from, a wrestler of some sort. I'll look that up and probably post it here so you can see what we're talking about. But I think it was John Cena. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that pro wrestling is a lot bigger and generates a lot more revenue than does women's basketball. But I could be wrong. I really haven't done much research on that. Didn't think it was necessary. Now, I'm not a big wrestling fan, nor do I follow wrestling, but what's interesting is that when this came out by the wrestler, I didn't hear any word about what it meant, or I didn't hear any dust up about it. Didn't mean it didn't happen, because once in a while I don't follow wrestling, but maybe some of you can comment and let me know. Was there a big thing made about that when he did it? So to be clear, let me plead some ignorance. I don't really know much about the beginning of this, other than John Cena came up with it as some sort of a dig at his opponents. You can't see me. Well, we just had an amazing basketball game last Saturday or Sunday, and there were two players involved. One who played for Louisiana State University. Her name is Angel Reece. And then, of course, the young woman, number 22 from Iowa, apparently an amazing player. Her name is Caitlin. And I think she's the AP College Player of the Year for women's basketball. Having watched the game in replay, I totally agree. She is an outstanding ball player. So this really has nothing to do with her or the two ball players per se. But what it appears to be is there's a double standard at the very least. We are in April of 2023 and we're having this conversation. And this has got to be the stupidest thing I've heard yet. So, let's begin. So once more, this one, when she made this gesture, it was okay. However, when this one did it, same movement, now we have a problem. Not sure why that's true, but we seem to have one. And as if it couldn't get more bizarre, let's have the First Lady chime in and say something pretty stupid. Listen, full disclosure, I like the Bidens. I voted for Joe. Wasn't my first choice, full disclosure. But I voted for him nonetheless, and I have a lot of respect for Dr. Jill Biden. So what I'm going to say, and what I posted earlier, were a bit contentious and a little randy and a little petty on my part, I must admit. But I still hold true to what she did, and how she did it was, at the very least, politically naive and just dumb. So, apparently she was at the game, and she enjoyed the game. And maybe she's not a great basketball fan, or understand basketball, or understand sports for that matter. But at the very least, here, as you may have heard, is what happened. Now, there is a tradition that goes back to 1869 with presidents inviting the winning team of a given sport to the White House to celebrate their winning. Typically, it's for the winner only. Well, the teacher, Dr. Jill Biden, who enjoyed the game, made this comment. She said after the game, that was a great game. It was well played, and good sportsmanship was shown by all. And yes, we're going to be inviting the LSU Tigers to the White House to celebrate their championship. But I'm also going to ask Joe to also invite the Iowa Hawkeyes. How's that sound? To which I say, Jill, hello, bad move. Whether she understands or not, and so let me be one of the few to say, or the last to say, it was a pretty dumb move. One, it minimizes the championship. The championship, as we understand it, is for the winner. Now, it's kind of odd to have the loser next to the winner when you're celebrating the winner. Once more, to Caitlin's credit, even she, when asked the question, would she want to attend the White House with the winners? Her response was, no, I don't want to spoil their championship, and it's their time in the light, so no, I'm not going to do that. So I know I'm conflating two different stories here. One, Jill Biden, of course, making her kind of a silly error in judgment. And two, that folks seem to be riled up about one woman doing this and the other one doing the same thing. Well, the simple fact of the matter is they are connected. There's a part of me who believes that Dr. Jill Biden, when watching Iowa lose, had some feeling towards Caitlin and the Iowa team. And as a mom or a teacher, she felt and the need to say, listen, I don't want to make you feel bad that you lost, so why don't you come to the White House and participate in the ceremony that we're going to honor the winning team. But adding fuel to the fire, the fact of the matter is, given the firestorm that Angel Reece had to deal with respect to doing that, which is so stupid. And then Dr. Jill Biden deciding that we want to invite not only the winner, but the loser to the game, to the White House as well, seems to add insult to injury, from my perspective. I've been sitting pondering, wondering, what made her believe, Dr. Jill Biden, that was okay to do that? And then sadly, it came to mind for me that in this country, there are some who believe the world and America was built for them, and that they are privileged. They have certain inalienable rights, and that why shouldn't everyone, including especially them, be invited to the White House? I'm going to make another statement here that's going to sound a little controversial, but I want you to think about it as I did too. And the statement is this: do you really believe that had LSU Tigers won the game, that Dr. Jill Biden would have invited them to the White House under the very same circumstances? As you ponder and think about that, my response to my own question is, I don't think so. I'm not exactly sure why I think that's true, but I just do. And I think it has to do with how we perceive, or how certain races are perceived in this country. It appears that if you're black and loud and confident and cocky, Colin Kaepernick, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, and so forth, then oftentimes America doesn't accept you. White America doesn't accept you early on as easily. You are somewhat of a distraction and somewhat uppity. Yeah, Google that one. And that because the majority in this country are white, then whatever you do, whatever you've done, you're allowed to do that. That's not a problem. So that's why I conclude or feel, I don't have any proof of this, that once more had the Louisiana Tigers had lost a game, they would not have been invited by Dr. Jill Biden. I think it's important to make this point. Um, Joe Biden is not a racist by any stretch of the imagination. Let's make that perfectly clear. But she does exhibit a behavior that's also, as it's very prevailing and difficult sometimes to deal with. And that is, since you don't see the world through our prism and only through yours, and yours happens to be one that says, when you grew up, you could be president, you could be first lady, you could be Miss America, you could be the captain of the football team. Those are all privileges that me and my people were never afforded. So when we do become these things, it's kind of an anomaly and not quite how things are supposed to be here in great old America, right? And so as a result, it seems to me that Joe Biden was simply articulating what has always been articulated, that there's a privilege in this country. Certain people are allowed to do this even, and others are not. So America, this has to stop. This is no longer acceptable behavior. We're all the same. We're all in the same boat. Oh, we may be different. Oh, sure we are. But essentially, we're the same. We're Americans. We all have the very same rights. No one is bigger, better than the other. We didn't ask to be here. We'll talk more about that if you want to. But since we're here, we demand the same rights as others without equivocation. And we don't have to explain ourselves. I mean, even Caitlin, to her credit, stood up for Angel and said she doesn't understand why all the vitriol was held at or pushed at Angel, when in fact she herself is one of the biggest trash talkers. Way to go, Caitlin. In women's basketball. This is not about Caitlin. She's an admirable and amazing basketball player. It's about those who follow and who support her that I'm terribly concerned about. Just by way of follow-up, here's some good news. So apparently the White House has reached out to LSU and did invite them to the White House. And to Louisiana's credit, they agreed to go. Now again, they are much better than me because I am super petty and I would not have gone, but that's me. But to the credit of those young women, they have real class and showed that in spite of how they were treated or mistreated, they're still going to do the right thing. But I do wonder, Dr. Joe Biden, even though you're not a racist, but how difficult would it have been to simply come out after what was said and done and said something like this? I'm not putting words in your mouth, but there's some thoughts to consider, Dr. Joe Biden. Oh, dear Louisiana LSU Tigers, let me start by apologizing for putting you in a very precarious and difficult position by inviting or suggesting to invite Iowa to your celebration. That was simply foot and mouth disease. I sincerely apologize for that. I had no ill will directed towards you. I don't feel that way about you. I think you're an amazing team. I think both teams played well. You were the dominant team. You were the superior team. You won, and you deserve to win, and you deserve your time in the spotlight. So please accept my sincere apology. I promise to do better, Dr. Joe Biden. Is that really so difficult? Why is that so hard? I don't have an answer either. It's kind of rhetorical. You may enter your own comments about why you think that's difficult. But I think it goes back to what I said earlier, which was in this country, when you grow up and you're told and taught that you can be president, you can be first lady, you can be the captain of the football team, then of course you feel as if you can do those things. And when someone tries to take those privileges away from you, as you perceive them being taken away, then I understand your anger. But please know this. There's a population out here called African Americans and others who demand our rights and privileges as well. We want nothing more or nothing less. Only what is fair, not unfair. We can do this. I have faith in America. I have faith in Americans of all stripes and colors, sexes, genders, and otherwise. All right. Well, that's enough of my rant for today. So thank you for listening in. I appreciate that. So please remember to like, to comment, to follow me. Next topic that you'll hear from me are Tennessee. Yeah, that one. We'll talk about it later. Peace. Have a good day.